You are now tuned in to DameSmiff.
Good morning and welcome to Musician Talks episode 4 with DameSmiff. And today I'm going to be discussing with you how artists can nurture and maintain their networks for possible future success or possibly someone else's future success. And in my first episode, I talked about how having an artist in your network can be beneficial, and being the artist in someone's network can be beneficial as well. And I want to start with how you acquire a network as an artist. And typically, it's not too different than how you would regularly acquire a network in any other industry. It's through putting yourself in the right places, making sure you're receivable, and whatever your message is going to be received properly to the people you want to speak to, and that you're of benefit to those you're talking to. And with those key points, I think you can't really fail too often if you work on your soft skills like punctuality and honesty and things like that. But let's start with how you can acquire and build a network as an artist. Well, today the big way you can meet people is obviously online because of social media and just general internet access for most businesses and corporations. Um, with that, it's fine to like meet people, but in order to really develop a true relationship with somebody, you're going to eventually have to actually deliver or work with this person and figure out what their needs and wants and what you can mutually benefit from each other and things like that. Um, so I would say your best approach with that is try to combine different outlets for meeting people. So if you're typically an artist that uploads on the internet, staying very active in your comments and your reactions and things like that is very helpful. But in order to pinpoint somebody that will be a part of your network versus somebody who's either a viewer or a fan or things like that, you would have to take a few more steps than normal with this person. So say you see somebody who is commenting on your videos and things like that, but they're also into the things you're into. So say it's two artists, two musicians, right? It would make a lot of sense if you know that this person is a musician to look into their musicianship and see where you find anything that you like about them that you can compliment them on, or anything that you think they need to work on that you can help them with. It's one thing to give somebody constructive criticism, but it's another thing to give it to them and then not be beneficial in finding the solution to that criticism. And with that said, many people find it easier just to kind of like copy and paste a link to somebody and just say, oh, dope music or whatever. But what that doesn't do is it doesn't develop a relationship. And the way you develop that is through actually connecting with a person and, having a true dialogue with the person and what they call a repertoire with a person. Many artists outside of the internet, the way they'll do that is typically we kind of band together from our talents. Singers typically uh, singers typically sit with singers at the table, and same with musicians of specific instruments or instrumental families. Um, and singers, that goes with just vocalists in general. But the way they all create a relationship together is their network of people that are either the roadies or teachers that teach them their skills and talents, help them hone their talents to better levels. And you can also have situations where your instrumentalists know maybe technicians or engineers that repair instruments or things like that, or just do general woodwork or metalwork and things like that can be beneficial to them as an individual. And the way they nurture these relationships are typically transactional. Like if I go to a music shop to get my drum set fixed, I can get in good with the owner or the technician that way, and we can develop a relationship that way. But outside of being so transactional, the way you can connect with people and have them in your network is to have honestly more to give them than they're willing to give you. Because when people see that you're a benefit to them, they kind of latch on to you, and they, will, if they're in the right space, they will nurture that relationship instead of trying to leech off of it and we'll talk about that too. And this can be extremely beneficial as an artist when you're trying to build your fan base, or if you're trying to maybe step into new realms or parts of the industry that you've never been into before. These people that you connect with in your network, they may have more insight than you, or just a different perspective that can foster more insight. So I'll give you an example. You can run into issues as an artist where you're doing everything correctly. Tickets are being sold, merch is being sold, and everything like that. But every once in a while, your branding gets disrupted by current events or something like that. Maybe you might have tweeted something you didn't want to tweet, or you might have put out a project that had imagery that wasn't received well by the general mass. Knowing somebody who kind of can curtail and inform you on the things you do as far as your branding and image can be extremely helpful for you as an artist. But how do you know and get in touch with people to, know that this person is of value to your network? Well, the way you do that is you honestly first have to start looking for that person. So if you can figure out the title of the position that you're looking for, that makes it a lot easier. But for some people, they just don't truly know. And the way that process works is, if you know it's a branding or image thing, you can go to image consultants or image consulting firms. There's a lot of companies that help with, I'm not going to say like rebranding of a company, but essentially the branding. Like, they'll help you create a brand that's consistent and things like that, and has a good footprint and things like that. But having people that work in those fields in your personal network as an artist can help you so much, because they'll have insight on what you're doing incorrectly and what you can improve on. Now, where you don't want to encroach upon, like, leeching on someone's network, or even I'll say not leeching. We won't use leeching. Let's use underutilizing your network. If you're encroaching that kind of behavior, that can be detrimental to you as an artist. But I've seen it maintained by artists and entertainers before. So you can have a relationship with, say, your record label that's not too friendly or intimate, but this can work simply because the transaction of the goal or the job or task at hand is being completed. But the problem with that as an artist is, when it comes time to do things, to pull strings or pull your power or rank in areas that aren't as transactional, but it's more of a concept or principle, then you kind of are out of leverage there in that particular point, because you haven't nurtured and maintained a healthy relationship with this person in your network. And I can give you an example of that typically happens a lot between two typically in hip hop, two kinds of people: uh, artists to venue owners, and artists to DJs and disc jockeys. I've seen situations. I'll give you an example of an artist would book a DJ for a show so that they can host a show, and once they attempt the show, after the show, the conversation about who gets paid what and what effort and what work has been done gets muddied up, because nobody has established their positions in the network, in their particular relationship to one another. And what that causes now is, when DJs come out and they say, hey, we're the ones making you popular, and we're spinning the records, and we're the ones putting your face, basically exploiting your music and making you the image on the scene. When you come do your 1 hour set, that work is like a small percentile of what we're doing. What's up, Marcus? It's good to see you, man. Say what's up in the chat. But so that relationship can be tarnished with just something as small as that. And I've heard DJs say this often, that the promotion and things that go behind setting up a show, a lot of artists, they don't take their initiative to be a part of that process. So therefore, when it does come time to really separate the men from the boys, it gets really, really messy at that time. And so, things you should try as an artist to do to overcome these things in a relationship. Oh, I forgot. The venue owner example. Let me go through that too. So oftentimes, because I've done this once or twice as an artist as well. Oftentimes, an artist, they'll find themselves in a gig or things like that where maybe the venue owner feels slighted. Maybe you didn't bring enough people to the show, or maybe enough drinks weren't sold, or whatever. Whatever excuse they come up with in their head doesn't suffice to what they think that they should pay you. Now, this is where your relationship and soft skills will have to come into play, because oftentimes your venue owner is not really looking at how can I make it good for for the band. Their main focus is their venue, because that's their livelihood essentially. So then you as an artist have to come up with either a healthy relationship or a solution to where you can develop a way to be so beneficial to this venue owner that he can take hits in certain areas that won't affect his business at the end of the day. And I'll give you an example of what that looks like. So I was told when I was starting as an artist that when you do start out, they're not going to be looking to pay you any like steady income because you're new and you don't have the experience. So you have to bring them so much business, either starting out or very, very early on in your relationship, that when your name comes up, it's so valuable that they're willing to take some hits in some areas for you. So let's say you do your first two shows, but you've sold out all your tickets. So now you're in the green for this business. You've helped them get into the green. So now drinks are making a profit and things like that. When it's time to book you again, you have leverage to say that, look, we're pulling these numbers and we can guarantee you X, Y, and Z. You're now in a position, at least with the track record with this person, if you keep it on paper, it's even that more concrete of a track record. If you we're bringing you this much business, we're bringing you X, Y, Z promotion and visibility and things like that. We can talk increased pay, or we can either talk more gigs. We can talk maybe bigger gigs, meaning like, we can make an event night versus, just a random open mic night that I just come through and sell out tickets for or whatever. So there's a lot of different ways you can utilize people in your network as an artist that will help you be able to manifest your goals and things like that. And this can be a bit of a balancing act for many artists, because I've noticed some artists who are really good at their instrument and really good at their craft, but they're kind of socially awkward. When you put them in situations like after they're off stage and the instruments are packed up and there's no job to be done anymore, they're kind of standoffish and not very social. They can't move through a room. They can't meet people, shake hands, and things like that. And you're cutting off so many people when you do that, because one, first impressions, where as as an artist, you're in a above average position most times when you're in a room, meaning that depending on your efficiency on your instrument or your talent or whatever, when you step into a room, you're kind of separated between just being an average person and the person who is average but has this talent. And that's across the board. Like, you can be in a room full of athletes. You being the one person who is an athlete and a musician still separates you from all the other athletes, even if you are, in the same realm, meaning you're an athlete. And knowing that for some people that don't have these talents as an artist, this can be kind of intimidating when trying to meet somebody. It can be either intimidating or it can kind of like set off somebody's ego. And I'll give you an example of both ends. So it can be a good thing when you get off stage and people are kind of attracted to what you've done. They're like, wow, you're amazing. This is so cool that you do, and I like what you're doing, and I want to support more of this, and I want to meet you because you're the person that does this thing. That's amazing, and you want more reactions like that. But on the other end of the spectrum, you can walk into a room or come off stage and be in a room full of people that are just average. They're not artists and things like that. And they'll put the impression upon you that maybe you think you're better than them because of what you just delivered on stage. And that can be very that can be very disheartening sometimes as an artist, where if you get that enough times, it kind of turns you off from meeting people and things like that. But the way you can turn that into a good thing as an artist is to actually just hit it head on and approach that and just let people see what you truly are. Because usually when people are doing that, they're applying their own impression upon you, and it's not necessarily true. Like, I've met some guitar players where when you see them, they look terrifying because of just, their stage getup, or the fact that they just got done doing so much on stage. It's like looking at a person that just got done running on the treadmill, and you're trying to say hey and have small talk with them, and they're tired and things like that. But I've seen some guitar players where it's like they look terrifying, meaning they're like wearing all black symbols and stuff you've never seen of, and tattoos and nails and stuff. But when you approach them, because I'm not the person that's thinking, you did so well on stage, you seem unapproachable, unless you look busy. That's usually when I don't try to step in people's way. But I've stepped to some guitar players where they would seem crazy. They would seem like they would be crazy, but they're the nicest people in the world, off the strength that they understand that already they're unique, and they're like, you're already the fact that you approach them kind of sets them at ease. Like, okay, this can be a good thing because you're approaching me, and then me being respectful when I do approach them, it makes them even more at ease. And then eventually we can get information and maybe possibly work together in the future, depending on where our talents are needed. And again, this is all in respects to trying to build a network, because many artists seem to be in this kind of like solo bubble. Even if they're in a band, they think they're that instrumentalist for that particular band, versus thinking they're a part of an entire community of people that have multifaceted talents and things like that. So it's just, I would just like to just make sure that, at least in this video, that artists understand to keep themselves open to the possibility that your network is a lot bigger than you think it is, but make sure that it's something that you can manage and something that you can maintain and nurture to be a healthy network. Not something to where you have a bunch of like transactional people. You don't want a network of 30, 50 people that when you call upon them, they need something from you. It's not going to be a good, you're going to get into this snowball effect of having to satiate all these transactions just to get the one thing you need done. So yeah, that'll be it for today. It's another quick one. So like I said, just keep it going in the comments and we'll get these views up. And let me know if you prefer longer videos, like my first two episodes. I did just about 2 hours in the first episode, and then I think I did about an hour in the second one. And so I'm gonna try to stick around the 20-30 minutes time length for now, until we figure out what works best. So that's episode 4 of Musician Talks with DameSmiff, and we are out.